The envelope sat there, thick and unmistakable, tucked beneath an empty crystal glass. $1,000. Not a mistake. Not forgotten. Left on purpose. Ethan's hands trembled as he stared at it, because touching that money could save his daughter's life, or destroy the last piece of dignity he had left. What he chose to do next would silence an entire restaurant, and change every life in that room forever. Ethan Brooks had learned how to smile without feeling it. The kind of smile that came from years of swallowing pride, from waking up before sunrise to pack lunches he couldn't afford, from tying shoelaces on a child who believed her father could fix anything. He was 34, but the mirror said 45. His shoulders slumped the way hope does when it's been carrying too much weight for too long. That evening, the restaurant glowed with wealth. Soft lighting, polished silverware, quiet laughter that never worried about tomorrow. Ethan moved between tables like a shadow, careful, invisible. That was safer. People didn't ask questions of shadows. At table 17 sat a man who didn't belong to the noise of the room. Mid-40s, calm eyes, expensive suit worn like armor rather than fashion. He spoke politely, barely touched his food, and watched everything. Ethan noticed the details because noticing was how he survived. The man ordered simply. Steak. Water. No wine. No excess. When Ethan brought the bill, the man nodded once and slid a black card across the table. No small talk. No complaints. Just quiet authority. Minutes later, as Ethan returned to clear the table, he saw an envelope. His breath caught. He glanced around instinctively, as if someone might accuse him of imagining it. Slowly, he opened it just enough to see the crisp bills inside. His heart began to pound so loudly he feared the entire restaurant could hear it. $1,000, not scribbled as a tip on the receipt. Not handed with a smile. Just, left there. Ethan's mind exploded with images he had tried to bury. His daughter Lily, 8 years old, small and brave, pretending not to be afraid of hospitals. The doctor's voice from that morning echoed in his head, "We need the payment by the end of the week, Mr. Brooks. Rent overdue." Electricity notices stacked like threats. A life balanced on the edge of numbers that never added up. He could take it. No one would stop him. The man was gone. The table was empty. The money could change everything, but then another thought cut deeper. What if this is a test? What if it isn't meant for me? What if I lose the only thing Lily still believes I have, honor? Ethan stood there, frozen between desperation and integrity. Around him, laughter continued. Plates clinked. No one noticed the war happening inside a single father's chest. He folded the envelope, hands shaking, and tucked it into his apron, not to steal it, but to keep it safe until he decided what kind of man he still was. That night, when his shift ended, he walked out into the cold with the envelope still untouched. Each step toward the bus stop felt heavier than the last. He could go home, open it, and finally breathe. Or he could do something else, something that made no sense in a world that had never been fair to him. At the bus stop, under flickering streetlight, Ethan made his choice, and that choice would shock everyone, including the man who left the money behind. The next morning, Ethan returned to the restaurant early. Earlier than he'd ever arrived. The envelope was still sealed, edges bent from being clutched too tightly all night. Lily had slept curled against him, unaware that her future had sat inches from his hand the entire time. The manager looked surprised to see him. "You're early." "I need to speak to the man from table 17, Ethan said quietly. The manager raised an eyebrow. "You know who that was?" Ethan shook his head. "No. But he'll come back." Confidence wasn't something Ethan usually carried, but something told him this man wasn't finished yet. Hours passed. Lunch rush came and went. Ethan worked mechanically, heart jumping every time the door opened. Then, there he was. Same calm walk. Same quiet presence. He took the same table. Ethan approached, pulse racing. The man looked up, eyes sharp but curious. "Sir," Ethan said, voice steady despite everything, "you left this last night." He placed the envelope gently on the table. Untouched, for a long moment, the man said nothing. He simply studied Ethan, his worn uniform, his tired eyes, the way he stood straight despite clearly carrying the weight of the world. "I know," the man finally said. The word landed like thunder. Ethan swallowed. I couldn't take it without knowing why." The man leaned back slightly. "Most people wouldn't have waited a night." Ethan's hands clenched at his sides. "Most people don't have a child who needs surgery," he said honestly. "But I still couldn't." Silence wrapped around them, then the man smiled, not politely, but genuinely. "My name is Daniel Cross," he said. "I built my first company waiting tables just like you. I lost my way somewhere along the road. I leave money sometimes, to see who people are when no one's watching." Ethan's eyes burned. "I'm not a hero," he said. "I was just trying to be someone my daughter could respect." Daniel pushed the envelope back toward him. "Then let me make this clear. This isn't charity. It's gratitude." Ethan shook his head. "I can't accept it like that." Daniel nodded slowly, as if he had expected that answer. "Then don't." He slid a business card across the table. "Come to my office tomorrow. I'm opening a new hospitality group. I need someone who understands integrity more than profit. Someone I can trust." Ethan stared at the card, stunned. "What about the money?" he asked quietly. Daniel stood. "That," he said, placing the envelope back into Ethan's hands, "is your signing bonus." Tears finally fell. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just the kind that come when a man realizes the world hasn't completely forgotten him. Weeks later, Lily's surgery was successful. Months later, Ethan traded his apron for a suit, but never forgot where he came from. And every year, he left an envelope on a table somewhere, watching quietly from afar, because sometimes, the smallest test reveals the greatest hearts.